So yeah, and apparently he also, it went under the radar or went under my radar, I guess, for David Blaine. But apparently let's see, what was it? He was buried in a coffin underground without food or water for 7 days.
Is that his alibi?
Yeah, right. Welcome back to another episode of the Tether Radio podcast, the only podcast keeping you from spiraling out into the infinite abyss. I'm your host, Daniel, and I'm joined, oh wait, we've got somebody else here today. Joseph has stepped out for a little bit, but he is going to be covered by a good friend of mine and fellow pharmacist, Matt Reddin, who is a pharmacist down in, I guess over in Arkansas. You want to say hi, Matt?
Hello. How are you doing?
Dude, you know what? Better than I deserve. How about that?
I got you.
Yeah, dude. So Matt is going to be covering for Joseph for just a couple episodes, and I would say that we will also probably be having Matt on to guest once Joseph's back later on. Because, just getting to shoot the shit with Matt pre-show, I think that he's going to have some shit to say. If about nothing else than corgis and K-pop, he'll have those two topics covered.
I've got those covered really well.
Yeah, got the market cornered, man. But yeah, dude, so you have a good week, man?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Just working for the man.
Yeah, just slinging pills, man.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
There you go.
Yeah. Everybody wants their Norcos, right?
Yeah, no shit, dude. Jeez, man, all the debacle with the opioid stuff. My God, I'm gonna be interested to see what ends up like shaking down with all that stuff, because it seems like Purdue Pharma is gonna receive quite the thrashing, both legally and financially. So,
oh yeah, man, they're in it right now
for sure.
It's terrible that we're having to make drugs to fix problems from other drugs, but
yeah, oh yeah, dude.
That's the environment we live in right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, and everybody's looking for a quick fix. I mean, hell, dude, we see this time and time again that it's like, oh, instead of treating the actual problem, we just treat the symptoms and send them home, kind of thing,
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I'm sure that we'll have plenty of time to talk about that on future episodes. But yeah, so for this one, we're gonna start off with a man that has he has a very specific way that he likes his groceries bagged. So I'll start us off with I pulled this one from Global News. Man chokes cashier for putting chips and canned goods in same grocery bag. So now I've seen, there are definitely some negligent grocery baggers out there. I've seen them before,
Mm-hmm.
but like taking it to this degree, I feel like is a little bit much. But
I don't know, man. Like, you get home and your chips are just nothing but crumbs because this dude just crushed them with your cream of mushroom, like
your cream of mushroom soup, rolling around just like rolling pin in your fucking Doritos and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he thought he was trying to help him out with crushing them up for some breading or something. But
yeah, dude, now that you mentioned that, I've seen like multiple recipes that use like chips and stuff that are just crushed up, and you just use it as like the batter or whatever. Have you ever actually done that?
I've not used chips. My mom has a recipe with like corn flakes or something that she crushes up and uses them for, and crackers and stuff. But
but not
we
chips.
have people at work that like to use chips in unusual ways, and so chips have found their ways into like chocolate chip cookies and cupcakes at work, and it's always a super large disappointment.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it's kind of
so
like people like it's so bad. It's kind of like people putting like chip, which I don't know if you ever did this, but I never had. Putting chips on like a burger or a sandwich. Have you ever done that?
Yeah. I've put them on a sandwich
Yeah.
before.
Does it
Sandwich
actually
is fine.
enhance?
It makes it crunchy.
So it's more texture,
Yeah.
more texture oriented.
Yeah, it's fine. Putting it on a sandwich is whatever, but like
Yeah,
mixing it in with stuff, especially like with cookie batter
yeah.
and cake batter, like it
It
makes
seems
it
pretty gross.
soggy, and so it's more like eating a stale chip when you get like an actual bite of a chip in there, and it's
Ugh.
yeah,
Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. Bradley Bauer from Pennsylvania was not looking to batter some fucking stuff in his crunch chips. So, in the criminal complaint, he explained to officers that he had asked the clerk not to, quote, throw his groceries around. The man had several bags of chips and, quote, didn't want them to get all smashed up. Okay. So I understand the complaint. I get it, Mr. Bauer. But anyway, so the dude keeps just bagging stuff or whatever,
yeah.
and basically he tried to call the dude out because he put canned goods with his chips, which I know. I mean, that is a pretty big faux pas for a bagger, but you know, still I'm not going to even remotely justify this man's actions. So, but yeah, dude. So anyway, everything finished, whatever. He had bagged the shit, and the guy was already pissed off.
Yeah.
Well, then the Mr. Bauer goes to leave, and when he was walking by, he asked the clerk or whatever. He's like, "Do you have a problem with me? Because I have a problem with you."
Oh
Well,
my God.
yeah, right. I mean, like this dude just fucking woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Period. Like I feel like he was just fucking looking for a
Yeah.
problem. But anyway, so the dude thought that the clerk thought he was kidding, and he just goes, "Oh, do you?" Well, so as soon as he said that, dude, you can see this shit fucking playing out. Which I don't know. I was looking back through this. I don't think they say how old the clerk was, but I
That was
mean,
my
I would.
question is this some like 15-year-old kid that he accosted in the store?
Yeah. Well, and the reason that I would think maybe it is an underage is because they don't have his name in here.
Mm.
So, and isn't there something about like if whatever an underage victim, the police are not allowed to release the name or something along those lines?
Possibly.
I
I
don't know.
know there's a lot of different rules for minors, so
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, but anyway, so that just set fucking Bauer off, and he grabbed the dude around the neck and shoved him against the cash register while calling him an idiot. Okay, so excuse me, the clerk pushed away from Bauer, and then like a manager called the police, and the police showed up. And so Bowers told officers that he knew he was in the wrong and he was having a bad day, and quote, this issue with the chips just sent him over the edge. So he was just, dude, he was a fucking like loose cannon after the issue with the chips because nobody likes smashed
All I've been
chips.
able to think about this entire time is Jack Bauer from 24 just going off on some
Yeah.
store clerk.
Seriously, don't bag my fucking mushroom soup with my chips. Jesus, how many times do I have to tell you
This is a matter of national security.
that? Yeah. Oh my god, man. But basically, they wrap up the article, and I thought this was a kind of funny jab, and they're just like, next time he might consider Pringles. So, but I thought that was pretty funny, man, because it's just like, fuck, man. But anyway, we're gonna go straight from Pennsylvania to France, where apparently they have been dealing with Garfield phones washing up on a specific like shore for the past 35 years.
Yeah, I heard about this. This is
Yeah,
crazy.
it's super crazy, man. Because like, and honestly, I started reading through this article because I thought it was kind of funny, and they talk about how the groups that were picking up the phones off of the beach, how at first obviously it was really funny and it was super like fucking random, because you've
Yeah.
got, this random beach in France that, they're just dealing with all these fucking random, and it's all the same phone. So
Yeah.
everybody's like this is just fucking weird. But they didn't have any idea how this was happening.
Yeah.
And so finally, this guy, who I think he was like a farmer, I could be wrong. Where was that? Basically, what happened is this: they were contacted by this guy that was saying that he remembers back in like the mid '80s. He remembers he and his brother kind of were trying to look into like why the fuck this was happening, because it was just kind of obviously really weird. And he said he was yeah, it was a local farmer. Anyway, he was between the age of 19 and 20. He said there was a big storm, and him and his brother saw the phones everywhere on the beach. And he was like, all right, so we decided to try to go find the source.
Yeah.
So they actually discovered that there was a shipping container that had basically gotten wedged in an underwater sea cave. And in times of super, super low tide, basically it would wash out like another like wave of phones to distribute among, like along the beach or whatever. And honestly, I would urge all of our listeners to hop on there because they have a really good picture of just like this. I mean, everybody knows like a fucking aunt that they had that thought that probably this phone was like the funniest fucking thing ever and had one in their house. And they described it as this phone that it was it's like a sleeping Garfield that when you answer the phone, his eyes like open.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was picturing like the Felix the Cat style where it was like looking back and forth all the time.
No, dude. Yeah, this is next level shit, dude. this is the apex of like mid '80s consumerism. So, but anyway, so they figured out that it's it was coming from this shipping container.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is they've kind of investigated it past this, and they basically come to the conclusion that they're not going to be able to remove it, and they're pretty much just going to have to let it play out because there's like no way to actually access it with like machinery to remove like the shipping container. And
That's
so,
crazy.
and plus they can only do it when it's like super low tide, unless you did some kind of like whatever underwater expedition kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the problem with it is hell, we're already dealing with an insane amount of plastic pollution and stuff in the ocean, and now
now we've got fucking Garfield on the bottom of the seafloor.
Yeah, exactly, man. Only excuse me, only adding to the shit, these stupid Garfield phones. But just I figured that was a pretty fun one to cover, because it was just it was this age old mystery that has finally been whatever debunked, I guess. But anyway, man,
35 years of this dude just washing up on your front porch. That like.
Well, and that was the thing, because they were saying like, obviously at first it was kind of funny, but like people are just like, dude, we're fucking sick of these stupid Garfield phones.
I wonder how large the shipment of phones was.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because I mean, I mean, dude, 30. So we're dealing with what 20, 25, or 15. Yeah, dude, we're looking at 24 years, right? Or am I calculating?
Started when? 80?
85?
85?
Yeah.
Yeah.
24 years. So, and it's
well,
still...
No, it's 30... If it's 85, then it's 30...
Oh, yeah, shit, it is 30. It's
35,
34.
right? 35, 34?
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. My math is hard. So
No, you're fine.
Math is hard.
I just know it because of when I was born.
Oh, got you.
I wish I could go back to 25, man.
Yeah, right. Jeez. But yeah, man, it's just I just thought this was absolutely fucking ridiculous, and thought it was a fun one to pull. But we'll pivot and get into something a little bit more actually a pressing and relevant issue. You wanna bite off a piece of this next one?
Yeah, I can take us into this one.
Sure.
So this next article is an article from Wired called "Right to Repair is Now a National Issue." This is a opinion piece that came out from them, and it was following the Senator Elizabeth Warren. She's a Democrat out of Massachusetts, talking about how right to repair needs to be a bigger issue than just beyond kind of the tech market. Apparently, there's been some issues with farming equipment as well, with this whole issue that people are getting into or they're having things break down or malfunction, and they're going in to repair their equipment and finding that there's these code blocks for repairs that are needed on them. They interviewed this one farmer out of Nebraska, Mr. Kyle Schwarting. He was trying to fix his John Deere combine, but was only impeded by a lock that had been put in place that only an authorized service member could break or unlock. And he ended up hacking the software in order to repair his combine, and this decision by this farmer was upheld by the U.S. Office of Copyright. They said that he has every single right to do this. However, John Deere has also come out and said that, hold up, you may own the equipment, but you really don't own the equipment. You actually have purchased an implied lease for life for the vehicle to operate the vehicle.
Now,
but anything involved with the software is still owned by our company.
So did that make sense to you? Because when I was reading through this, like, I'm not sure it makes sense to me.
I don't understand that thought process either. I actually clicked off on a link in this to another article that had, I think maybe the original article that had been talking about this this situation, and they're saying that one of the farmers was saying, like, that John Deere says that I don't technically own my own property, that they own part of it still, and that I'm not allowed to modify anything about it, but when I'm writing my personal property taxes every year, I don't see John Deere's name on the check. They've never sent me any money to help me out on this. So, like,
well, so and honestly, because I was talking to Megan this morning when I was like reading through this stuff, and when I got to that part of this article, I kind of tried to look up just very shortly why you would have to pay property taxes on like machinery, I guess, like what would be considered heavy machinery, which according to my quick Google search, basically it's almost seen as a lease, which doesn't make sense to me if these people are purchasing this equipment, because with a lease, when you have to pay a property tax on a leased like vehicle, because you never paid like sales tax, I'm assuming. And so they got to get, Uncle Sam's got to get his bit somehow. And I'm assuming that's what this is. And if we have any lawyers listening to the show that can shed some light on this stuff, it seemed like a pretty convoluted kind of mess, to be honest. But yeah, like you said, it's, these guys have, this machinery is fucking, they cited $500,000, and I would say that's probably like right in the middle kind of thing. So I know that some of this shit, it's got to be close to $1 million,
Oh, easily.
But
if not like just the single piece, like all the different pieces you would need for everything to work together. Farming is a huge business.
But I never really thought about this because, like, for instance, Matt and I are pretty big into gaming, as I'm sure everyone is aware at this point that's been listening, because normally I bring gaming articles if there's anything to be talked about. But like you said earlier, tech was really that's what's, I feel like, has gotten the spotlight in regards to the rights to repair stuff. Specifically, like the stuff that's come out recently, or I think it was like end of 2018, that like Apple was, or it had been uncovered that Apple was throttling processor speeds for phones that had batteries that apparently were older in
Yeah.
order to preserve battery life.
Yeah.
And but this was not like disclosed. People just fucking figured it out, kind of thing. And then Apple's like, "Oh yeah, we do that," you know.
Yeah,
And
and they were offering battery replacements, but they didn't order enough, and you could only get them at their stores. Like you couldn't go to an authorized reseller, you couldn't go to one of these third-party stores. And if you did it yourself at home, you were also, breaking your warranties with these companies, and they would, if you had any other issues with your phone, they were refusing to look at them if you had a third-party battery installed. And, and Apple has probably been one of the largest offenders, in my opinion,
yeah,
of the right to repair, at least as far as mainstream media and coverage is concerned, because it's been so hard for so long to replace parts in Apple products. And,
yeah,
a lot of that has to do with the way they're designed, and they want a very simple, clean form factor. But that simple, clean form factor has also led to, making it impossible for people to modify much about their Apple hardware.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I remember. I mean, dude, when Apple switched to whatever
The unibodies.
yeah. That or specifically like the whatever. Didn't they switch what their screens were made out of, which made them a little bit more easy
Yeah,
to
probably
break.
during that whole like Retina vision
Yeah,
or Retina
yeah,
display thing.
it was supposed to be whatever, like you just said, like a better resolution or something kind of screen, but it was also a lot more prone to cracking if it was dropped. And so
Yeah.
you had all these stores pop up and like basically mall kiosks and shit that would replace your, screen at the cost of voiding your warranty for your Apple device. So it's like, okay, then your battery starts shitting out. Well, you take it to the Apple store to get that replaced, and they're going to realize, oh, this phone's been opened before and not by us because we don't have any account of it,
Yeah.
So you're SOL, which kind of comes back to what we were talking about previously or before the show. I know, like, for instance, with my PlayStation 4, it shipped with a 500 gigabyte hard drive, and I wanted to throw a bigger hard drive in it because, I mean, shit, dude, games these days, you're lucky to have under 100 gig game kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you're talking about being able to store between 5 and like 10 games on your fucking PlayStation. Well, that don't fly. So I ended up voiding the warranty on mine, and I wasn't even doing like a repair. I literally was switching out a hard drive. It's about, I mean, shit. Yeah, I think you did it too, didn't you?
I
Or
did
did you
not
use an
end up doing it
external?
on my PlayStation 4. I did it on my PlayStation 3 though.
Gotcha.
And I actually had to send it in for a different type of repair. And I was very upfront with them about it. I was like, look, I did this way back when. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, that doesn't matter because your warranty is like 5 years expired at this point anyways.
Yeah, gotcha.
But we do want to advise you like to take that out because like if we get it with the non-authorized hard drive,
Yeah.
like it's not that we're not going to send it back to you. It's that we're not sending the same system back to you at all. Like you get a entirely different system. So like you
Oh.
won't get your hard drive back.
Gotcha.
So like that was nice of them to tell me that on the forefront because I totally would have just
Yeah.
shipped that thing off and never thought about it. But
Yeah. So
they're
they
like, yeah, just make sure
basically-
you put the old one back in because if we
Uh-huh.
don't have a complete machine, then we can't send you a complete machine back.
Okay, so they're sending you pretty much like a refurb kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. Well, that's interesting, man. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's one of these things that like, and people aren't asking to get rid of these authorized whatever retail places or whatever that are authorized repair shops for these whatever devices. But what they're asking for is, first of all, not to void the warranty if they do a repair at home, And in addition to that, they need ready access to the parts and ready access to the basically the ways to repair this stuff. Which
and that's definitely the big part of this is like it's not asking for these authorized or first party vendors to go away by any means. Like people, there are definitely people out there that have good experiences with the stores and definitely benefit from having authorized retailers and sellers look at their equipment. But like, it's definitely just an access to parts and software in order to do it yourself.
Yeah, and something else to mention that they kind of brushed on a little bit toward the end of this article, and I honestly had not really thought about it that much, but all of these, I think that most of these companies are probably shooting for, hey, we don't want to repair your old shit, we want you to buy new shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but what are you going to do with your old shit is kind of the question. Yeah. And so they kind of brush on it at the end of this article that it's like we have all of this electronics waste that is, I mean, they can't recycle it. They can't do anything with it. And it has these components that could, potentially in large quantities be, not really good to seep into the land when we're throwing away all this shit,
Yeah, they actually they cited it like the electronic waste is the fastest waste stream in our current waste cycle. They had a 2015 study that said that our waste of our units sold to replace defective merchandise has increased from like 3.5% in 2004 up to 8.3% in 2012.
Damn,
and like that may not sound like a huge jump in percentage, but you've got to keep in mind how many electronics are out there, TVs, computer screens, computers, laptops, cell phones, like everybody has a cell phone. And, we're in this cycle now where cell phone companies are offering, like iPhone plans and Samsung Galaxy plans. They encourage you to switch these phones out every single year.
Yeah.
Because you're buying them, you're not actually buying them. They're on a lease, which is kind of loops back to the original point where, you don't technically own your own property. And if you're leasing it, you really don't own your own property.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're in this cycle now where we're expected to trade in our old electronics on a yearly or, bi-yearly basis. And it's just the electronic waste is just going up, exponentially because of that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, shit, dude, that those numbers are from 2012.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can only imagine where we're at this point, because I mean, shit, dude, that's 7 years ago. So, but yeah, man, it'll be kind of interesting to see. It kind of brings to question. I wonder if they'll start making phones almost more modular, so that it's like you can just switch shit out, because it's like. For instance, I mean, if you have a really solid, monitor for your computer, but your tower's fucking old or whatever, and you just want to revamp that, but you don't really need a new monitor, or shit, dude, you just want to upgrade your fucking graphics card or something like that. Instead of having to purchase a whole fucking new computer, you can just update your graphics card,
Yeah.
And so it seems like that would be at least potentially a viable thing for phones in the future. But obviously that goes against what you were kind of saying earlier about how everything needs to be sleek and like clean design, and like look how chic my iPhone 20 is.
Yeah.
It unfolds or whatever and like listens to me constantly, and which is scary. But
yeah, so it's an interesting point you bring up. Google actually had a planned modular phone, but I think it got scrapped a few years ago. They kept coming out with like images of it around the web every now and then, and it was essentially like what you were saying, where you could just kind of like mix and match different pieces and parts together. Yeah. And it was definitely avail. They had it in mind to like be able to update different little pieces of it as
Yeah.
things got better.
Yeah.
But I don't think it ever came to fruition. But
Yeah.
it would be nice to eventually see that type of capability with phones, just so that you don't have to, drop $1,000 every few years on a phone, because the price of phones is also starting to get out of
Oh,
hand.
dude, yeah. I mean, like the latest the latest iPhone. I hate the fucking names for these like XS and all that
Yeah.
jazz. Um, so is the XS the latest one?
Yeah. So I
I
think like
think.
the excuse me. I think the top model runs
Mhm.
like $1,100 to $1,200.
Jesus, dude,
Yeah.
that's just, and I mean, you're talking about spending that amount of money pretty much either every year or every other year. You
Yeah.
know?
And it's crazy to think about that, because like an Apple laptop doesn't cost much more than that.
Yeah. Well, honestly, that's a good point. That's actually a really good point. I didn't think about it like that. But yeah, I bet you could get a whatever a MacBook Air for probably a little bit cheaper, like right under
Yeah.
$1,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I guess you're paying for that convenience, man.
Hey,
That
it's the Apple tax, man.
yeah, no shit,
Paying
dude.
for name, form,
Yeah.
function.
You gotta
So
gotta gotta pay for those ad dollars. So,
yeah.
but anyway, man, we'll pivot to this next one because it's been a hot minute since the Tether Radio podcast has covered the Zuckerberg face hole or Facebook. So, but anyway, I pulled this one from The Verge, and it's called "Facebook's news feed is starting to explain itself." So I am no longer on Facebook, but I remember seeing something that actually I'm trying to think if it was Facebook or if it was Twitter that they rolled out, like kind of explaining why am I seeing this post or whatever kind of thing.
Mhm.
But anyway, so Facebook is actually announcing a new feature called "Why am I seeing this post?" And what it's going to do, or what it's designed to do, is it's supposed to show literally why you are seeing this post. So it shows, you click on it, and it'll bring up this little window, and it says, "Hey, you're seeing this post because you clicked on, you search for really highly or whatever, really popular content on the web, and you liked an image of a double-ended dildo. So that is why you're seeing this ponytail butt plug ad. But
What I do on my Saturday nights is my business.
yeah, exactly. But anyway, so basically, they're kind of showing, or at least this is how they're presenting it. They want to pull back the curtain on their algorithms to a degree. Now, having said that, it's like, okay, well, that's cool, and I like the increased transparency, but the problem with all of this is that all it's doing is helping them curate the content that you want to see. Now, I know that sounds weird, that I would not be down for that, but the problem is once you start running all this content that goes through social media platforms or anything like this, and they're curating it to what you want to see, you're not getting the whole picture. You're not
Yeah.
getting the whole story. You're getting what is probably going to make you feel warm and fuzzy and just, smash that like button. So,
Yeah.
but that's a problem, because it's like, I mean, shit, dude, how do you come up with a perspective, a decent perspective on something unless you've got the entire story?
Yeah.
And so it's just I think that Facebook is maybe headed in the right direction, but it's also kind of one of those things that I'm like, I mean, I still don't trust them any more than I did previous to their "why am I seeing this post" function, you know. But
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that this is actually going to like help, I guess, boost Facebook's view, or not people's view of Facebook's like privacy stuff, and like, I mean, do you think that it's going to have any effect on that, or?
I mean, honestly, I feel like most of us don't even think about that until,
Mhm.
the next big news story comes out about Facebook has leaked, 600,000 customers'
Yeah,
passwords, or has been accessing your search history for the past 18 months.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
nobody thinks about it. All these end user license agreements, like, does anyone really sit there and read the, you know, 5 to 20 pages, however long it's going to end
yeah,
up being, to find all the little legal terms in there that could
mhm,
actually be relevant to them? Like,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no one cares
exactly.
about this on a mass level, I feel like.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, dude,
and
have you ever read like a EULA or like a terms and service agreement?
probably when I was younger,
Uh,
I had attempted to read one, but
mhm.
like now it's just kind of like I I
Well,
just
it's
click
like
through it,
they,
unfortunately. Like I
yeah.
hate to admit that I just click through them, but I do.
Oh, well, dude, everybody does though.
Yeah.
And you know, like you just said, everybody clicks through that shit. And the thing is the companies know that everybody clicks through that shit. You know, it's
Yeah.
like there was something I was trying to remember. There was like some kind of article that came out about. It was like it was like some company, or like maybe it was like Amazon or something, that like they have some kind of agreement thing that, you know, deep down in the you know, center of the 100-page document, there's something about like how you can't use like robots to take over the world or some shit like that, that it's like, I mean, it's literally just making fun of the fact that nobody does read these things, you
Yeah.
know. But somebody,
And,
of course, you're gonna have that one guy that reads it and
yeah.
posts
And I
it to
mean, this
Reddit.
also all loops back to the article we just talked about too, like right to repair. Like I
Hmm.
feel like these companies, if they really, really want to, will eventually add something in there about their software, their hardware being proprietary, and that
Yeah,
only like licensed dealers or repair places can do anything without the or breaking
yeah,
open your equipment
yeah,
without you voiding warranties, or
hmm,
like surrendering the equipment or something, some
yeah,
crazy thing like that.
yeah,
That's how they get away with these things, is they hide them in your end user license agreements, and or they hide them in appendices or
yeah,
footnotes or things like that within them.
yeah.
Um,
Well, and
and
that actually made me think of something. Actually, kind of going back to the right to repair article. I think that Joseph was talking to me about some company that was, and it was a heavy machinery company, and I can't remember exactly who they were, but plus I don't know if I need to mention this, but anyway, I'll keep it a little bit anonymous. But he was telling me about this tech that was being installed in all of their equipment,
mhm.
and so you can't get the equipment without that tech being installed, but the person that buys the equipment does not own the little module that they have on it, and that module is basically piping out data of how the equipment's being used and stuff. And
Interesting.
so we're falling into this gray area of what do people own data wise, you know,
Yeah.
like honestly, ownership in general is just, you know, really, because I mean, so in my opinion, if I'm generating data, it is mine. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Otherwise, the data would not be there. If I was not doing something, the data would not be there. So how, you know, that would be kind of my argument against that. But yeah, so in addition to that, oh my God, where was I going with that? My God. I was on a mad tear. Uh, but anyway, it's just this ownership issue, and kind of I remember I was kind of trying to circle around to bringing back a video game reference kind of thing. So there's I don't know about you, but a lot of people have given up on physical media. And so you're really, everybody's buying stuff, buying games through the PlayStation Store. So you've got a digital copy of it. And then, buying movies off of Amazon or I guess, can you buy digital movies off Amazon?
Yeah, you can buy movies off of Amazon.
Okay. And then I know you can do it through like Apple and all these streaming services, but you don't really have, what you're buying is access to a product kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I remember, do you remember the demo PT that came out?
I do. I still have the demo for PT.
So I was one of the sorry sons of bitches that had the demo, and then somehow it got deleted off my my PlayStation, and then it got pulled out of the PlayStation Store, and nobody has access to it anymore, with the exception of the people that currently have it on their console, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, dude, that just like that. When that shit came out, it made me really pump the brakes on paying for access versus paying for a physical product kind of thing. Because I remember, and I can't remember. I think my PlayStation account got hacked somehow, and somebody set their PS4 as the primary console for my account. And so by them doing that, because we were talking about some friends that you can do that to kind of game the system in order to give access. One person can purchase a game and two people can have access to it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you don't have an internet connection, you don't have access to those games unless it is on your console and your console is designated as the primary console for the account.
Yeah.
Because I ran into that issue because somebody else said it as their thing. I didn't have internet one day and literally got locked out of any digital game that I had, kind of thing. And dude, it's one of these things that, when you're paying it, I'm sure that it's in the terms and conditions kind of thing, that it's like, hey, you're actually paying for access at any moment. We can, remove access to this content, and you're basically SOL,
Yeah.
And that's just, that's scary. Obviously not for gaming, but like, that's where we're moving. We're moving to paying for access to things as to actual, like, paying for a product, which, coming full circle, comes back to this whole like, well, are we leasing something or are we actually purchasing something?
Yeah.
But anyway, hardcore tangent, my bad.
Yeah. No, you're fine. I will say I appreciate any effort Facebook puts into more transparency. I feel like they've gotten nothing but bad press over the past couple of years, and it's all on them. Like it's their fault that they've got this bad press. So anything they can do to try and provide more transparency into their daily operations and what they're doing with our data and our profiles, I think it's great. I don't know if this is necessarily enough, though. I also don't know if I need my news catered that much. Because like you said, like if you start catering news and stories to things that you already like you're missing part of the picture. And it's good to have the opinion from the other side, because that's how you open up discussions and debates, and that's how new ideas are formed, is to have these types of discussions with other people and to see what the other perspective is. So
shit, dude, the world is not a black and white place, it is a gray place, and that is where we reside. And by having, like you said, both sides to whatever story or whatever, hell, dude, it's you don't have to just have either be, all the way over to the right or all the way over to the left, dude. That's why the spectrum exists. It's like you can fall somewhere in between, but we're slowly compartmentalizing people onto the and I'm using right and left, not politically, just literally as two designations of different groups. So, but we're slowly just basically making people choose yes or no, right or wrong, black or white, whatever. And I mean, dude, I think that's where a lot of this rage culture stuff comes from. I feel like is that it's like, people are so used to being in their own little like microcosm that's been curated by these tech companies, and then they get out of them and they're immediately just like pissed off and whatever because they're no longer seeing what they want to see, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, we will go ahead and cruise on to this next one. You wanna take this one, man?
Yeah, I hope you got your tinfoil hat ready, man. This one
yes.
is a little bit crazy.
Was it not, man?
Yeah. So this comes out of a local news station in Kentucky. Apparently, there has been a white unmarked van that has been just rolling through some of the poorer neighborhoods in Louisville for about the past month, offering $20 for anyone that is willing to provide them with their DNA sample.
I mean, does this not sound like almost like something out of a fucking movie?
I feel like they're trying to like start harvesting people or some shit, man.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, like, you get into this article, and I won't jump ahead or anything, but like, holy shit, man. Fucking, have your antennas up, guys. Like, Come on. This is incredible, because you want to talk about like preying on the helpless and the needy, dude. This is fucking it to a T. But anyway, so what kind of, can you pad this out a little bit in regards to like, I mean, are they targeting certain areas, or are they like, they just like?
So this van's rolling through. They've said that there's some of the poorer areas of Louisville, and apparently they've even been targeting some homeless campsites as well. But it's they're coming through and offering their $20. Apparently, these people that are coming in this van are telling everyone that they work for Passport Health, because they are only targeting Passport Health members.
Yeah.
In these communities.
Yeah. And so Passport Health is basically Kentucky's like TennCare kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
They're like Medicaid benefits stuff.
But the news team that provided us with this story, they actually wrote this story. They also contacted Passport Health, who has denied any involvement and has actually sent warnings out to their customers about engaging with these people that are coming through their neighborhoods. They even the news team even asked the employees there. Sorry,
no, you're good.
My dog. I don't know what's going on.
We're good.
But the news team also asked these employees who they work for, and they ended up telling them they work for somebody called Freedom Health. They were provided with a contact number for Freedom Health, which apparently no one answers.
Yeah.
They're telling these people that are providing samples that they're testing them for cancer. Again, what they're doing is mouth swabs on these people. Apparently they're taking 10 swabs per side of the mouth, and telling them that it's to test for cancer. Well, they've also had an expert from a local university come in, the news team that is, and talk about this. And she says, well, currently the only testing available through mouth swabs for cancer is just to identify potential genes linked to cancer, but it does not actually test for cancer. So
like more predispositions as opposed to actual cancer kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's not like these people are coming back to these neighborhoods and telling these people what their results are either. At least so far, that has not been the case.
Yeah. I don't understand how there's not some kind of a legal issue going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I totally understand that part of it. I'm not sure. Again, if Passport Health has nothing to do with this, then
but they're these people are misrepresenting each other or misrepresenting themselves. Like, I mean, they're literally just straight up lying.
Yeah. Well, also, like, if they're specifically targeting Passport Health members as well, like, how do they know that these are Passport Health members? Unless
that's a good point.
Maybe these people that are coming up are volunteering that information. But there definitely seems to be some type of security breach here
Yeah.
within the passport health
Well, well,
system.
I wonder if it's like necessarily like a security breach kind of thing, or it's just one of these things that okay, if they're going to poorer neighborhoods, you know that there's going to be a higher potential that you're going to come across a passport health beneficiary kind of thing
Yeah.
because it is a poorer neighborhood, but at the same time, if they're legitimately targeting him, which I didn't even think about it from that perspective, man, that it's like, so wait a second, is passport health involved but not involved kind of thing, like
Yeah.
involved behind the scenes kind of shit? Because this kind of information would be super fucking useful to a insurance company or whatever, or a I guess to the government to basically, oh my God, dude, would they deny people like basically claims and shit if they came back, you know, and were predisposed to some type of cancer? It's
Yeah, I
just
don't know.
like
It's
how
crazy.
fucking yeah, how fucking deep does the rabbit hole go, kind of thing. It's
And
just
like
like
I just don't see like offering my DNA up for $20. Of course, like we pay, $100 to
yeah.
buy a genetic testing kit at home,
Hmm.
but I don't know. It seems crazy that these people are just willing to get swabbed down for $20.
Yeah. Well, and
I have
the
no
thing
idea
that
what's really going on with their information.
yeah, and the thing that really sucks is like I remember there was one line. Let's see. Basically, one of the ladies that had done this, she basically said that she was just hardcore. Let's okay, here it is.
Yeah,
At
I
the
was gonna say I've
time,
got it if you don't.
oh yeah, at the time I was at my down low and I needed that change or whatever. Change obviously being the money, but
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like, I mean, dude, you know, when you've got nothing, $20 sounds pretty fucking good, and I mean, it's a entirely slippery slope because you know, as we've talked about on previous podcasts, and I'm sure that you're at least familiar with it, Matt, but like, I mean, all of these DNA tests and stuff, well, they're helping achieve multiple different things. Whether or not they're positive, I don't know,
yeah,
because we don't really know how. You know, we don't really know exactly what. We don't know how useful and just how DNA data can be used at this point. I mean, we're in the infancy of the data age, I feel like, and
definitely
by
like with genetics.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is because I mean, shit, dude, we covered an article and they were talking about how basically if a relative of yours has done one of those like 23andMe or ancestry.com or whatever DNA tests that there is enough of overlap DNA that they can basically narrow you down to like God, I want to say it was like 100 people, and this is like 100 people out of like I can't remember if it was the world or the United States. I think it was the United States, but you're still talking about being able to narrow someone down that didn't even take the test from what like over 400 million people to 100. I
Yeah.
mean, that's terrifying, and that's given no other information about this person. You know, you start looking into age ranges and like gender and stuff like that. If you have any of that information, you can narrow it down even more to like, you know, 50, 25, 20, 10. I don't know. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
and the more information that they have out there, the easier it's going to be to narrow this stuff down or whatever. So, and
Yeah.
without your fucking DNA, man, you ain't nothing. So,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to
but
see what happens with all of the new developments in genetics over the next few decades. Like, it's
mhm,
definitely not just going to be the next few years, but like the next few decades, because we've got the CRISPR gene that's out now that helps
mhm,
people with like modifying genetics essentially.
yeah, yeah,
And so that'll be interesting to see what happens with that, what they do with all of our DNA information that we have either voluntarily given up or that has been collected in other ways. So
mhm. Yeah, and I actually, speaking of CRISPR, I think that the most recent Wired magazine, the cover for it was how they used CRISPR to basically delete the gene that causes cow, or I guess steer. What's the plural of steer? Is it just steer?
I don't know. Steers?
But
This is not
anyway.
something that I've racked my brain with before.
Yeah, but anyway, so they were able to delete the gene to make steer develop horns, so that they don't have to cut the horns off and stuff. I mean, it's some weird shit, dude. And I remember there was like a documentary that came out about I think it was just Food Inc. I could be wrong, but about how they had basically genetically modified the chickens to not develop a beak, not have, and then to develop breast meat at like 10 times what they should.
Yeah.
And so these chickens, toward the end of their life, literally their legs could not support the weight of their bodies, kind of thing. I mean, it was some super fucked up stuff. Now, am I going to give up chicken because of it? No, but but I feel bad I feel bad every Chick-fil-A sandwich I damn. So
Yeah, chickens
but
definitely do not look like they once did, with
yeah.
all the genetic modification that we've done and the selective breeding for chickens.
Well, I mean, dude, chicken breast is starting to look like fucking turkey breast.
Yeah, they're just going to be a ball of meat eventually.
Yeah, it's gonna be boneless. It's gonna be beakless. It's gonna be they're just gonna pipe in some, I don't even know what, liquid nutrients to let it incubate until it's ready to harvest. Wow, that made me kind of gag when I just made that comment.
You're still going to eat some chicken nuggets, aren't you?
I know, right? But anyway, man, we'll cruise on to this next one. Pulled it from the Daily Beast. David Blaine under NYPD investigation over sexual assault allegations. Now, some people might be wondering, how'd they catch him? I mean, shit, dude, he's a fucking magician, you know?
Yeah.
Isn't this the same motherfucker that can, like, levitate and, I don't know,
Like survive in a tub of Jello or something for 40 days.
Yeah, which I was reading through this, it was actually a fucking like plexiglass box in London over like a intersection or some shit like that he stayed for 40 days in there, which I don't really know how is that magical, I guess.
I don't know. I feel like his stuff is more of a spectacle of his will rather than actual magic.
Yeah,
Like
gotcha.
I can just stay in one place and not do shit for 40 days.
Yeah.
I wish people would pay me what they pay him to do that.
Yeah, right. Can I bring my PS4?
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, and apparently he also I went under the radar, or went under my radar, I guess, for David Blaine, but apparently he let's see, what was it? He was buried in a coffin underground without food or water for 7 days.
Is that his alibi?
Yeah, right. That's a fucking good point, man. He's like, how could I do this? I was buried under in a fucking coffin for 7 days or whatever. So, but anyway, what has been brought against him allegedly? So this woman said that or I guess two women have come forth to say that he sexually assaulted them. Now, one of them, they were talking about how it happened or allegedly happened in 1998, which would potentially be, it would potentially fall outside the statute of limitations.
Yeah.
But a woman told him that she was sexually assaulted by Blaine inside his Manhattan apartment in 1998. It says, according to a person familiar with her complaint. I love how they cite sources these days. It's like kind of a fucking joke because, you know, it's like somebody makes some statement and it's like, according to someone who knows a lot about this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Why can't we use names like we used to and
Yeah.
actually be able to fucking vet somebody for their relevance of their opinion? But anyway, and then the other one, let's see, former model Natasha Prince alleged that Blaine raped her in London in 2004, which Blaine denied. And so they're basically investigating it at this point. At this point, I don't think that any charges have been brought against him quite
Yeah.
yet because they're still in the preliminary kind of, I'm sure, getting evidence and all that jazz.
Hmm.
But I don't know, with the Me Too movement still, being pretty rampant, and obviously, maybe this is another one to chalk up to that, in regards to just somebody getting their comeuppance.
Yeah.
But
There's been so many, sexual assault allegations that have come out over the past couple years
Yeah.
with the Me Too movement, and I think it's a good thing. Obviously, these women need to come forward and make people take responsibility for their actions.
yeah,
It's a great thing, and there's a lot of positive things that are happening because of it.
for sure.
I will say, like,
Mhm.
I think we do need to take a grain of salt with some of these allegations, though, not
Yeah.
to belittle the allegation or any sexual assault victims at all. But like, we definitely need to put our due diligence and like our research into these allegations, because sometimes they may end up being more fabricated than what we would like to believe.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I know that I think we've actually covered a couple articles of basically women falsely accusing people of sexual harassment, sexual assault, rape, all of this
yeah,
stuff. But I agree with you. It's one of these things that I think that all of these victims need to be heard first and foremost. But like you said, give the due diligence to actually come up with evidence that's irrefutable, because in this day and age, it's really been kind of interesting how the innocent until proven guilty phrase, or at least which was supposed or has supposedly been the foundation of our justice system, kind of thing. It's evolving, and people are, in the basically they enter in the what was it? Because it's a phenomenal phrase. I think it's like the court of public opinion. Is that right?
yeah,
So with shit being so accessible through all these different social media platforms and all that, I mean, it's basically, what comes to mind for me is the kid with the MAGA hat on that supposedly whatever was harassing a Native American protester, kind of thing.
yeah,
I'm sure you remember the Covington High School shit,
yeah.
right?
I remember it.
Yeah. So, but then once the actual story came out, it was completely different from what all the news sources were playing,
Yeah,
And it's just it's really interesting how this everybody just jumps on, they get this curated bit of content, which honestly is kind of speaking to the previous article that we were talking about with Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and all them giving this curated content, or this filter basically. And so people see a post or whatever, and it gets retweeted or reposted or whatever, and the more that they see it, the more truthful it becomes, regardless of how much it's actually based on fact.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I track that line of thought, but and not to give President Trump too much credit on his fake news claims, but like
Yeah.
the 24-hour news cycle has definitely kind of shot itself in the foot with this as well, because
Yeah.
it gives you far less time to present a story with good fact checking behind it as well, because nowadays it's all about who can rush out a story first and
Yeah.
present as much detail as possible. But like again with the whole MAGA hat kid thing, and then even this recent Jesse Smollett stuff. Like, we're presenting stuff without having all of the facts before we actually before they actually come to light, and we're having to retract stories because of that. And so it's just it's not letting people do their due diligence as far as research and fact checking before they're presented with a story or presenting a story.
Yeah, because and which we've kind of had a recurring theme to Tether Radio, that journalism is just in a real shit spot right now. You know, because it's in my opinion, the ethics behind what a true journalist. A true journalist is not supposed to be opinionated unless they're writing like an editorial or an op-ed or whatever kind of thing. Yeah, they're supposed to be able to present the facts, and then you allow the reader to come to their own conclusions, kind of thing. Or at least that's how I view good journalism. Yeah, and so when we get bombarded with shit, dude. When BuzzFeed News is a source for a leading story, and like they're being cited by like the fucking Washington Post and like the New York Times and stuff like that, I'm not trying to belittle BuzzFeed News, but like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you get a news story in between the quizzes that to find out what kind of cheeseburger you like. Yeah. It's just like it doesn't make any sense to me, and I feel like everybody just takes this shit for truth as soon as it's run. And like you said, the 24-hour news cycle, it's not helping anything because people are trying to break news as quick as possible. Yeah. But anyway, so I guess we'll be looking at we'll be watching this David Blaine shit to see if anything actually comes of it, because as of right now, all of this stuff is it's speculation, because they don't really have a whole lot to this story. But so you brought up Jesse Smollett. Did you see that he has denied payment of the whatever, it was like $130,000 that he was supposed to pay the Chicago Police Department for. Yes,
and they are considering new litigation against him for that money now, I believe. Isn't that correct?
I think you're right, man. I think you're right, because I'm going to be really interested to, and the only reason that I don't have a problem fucking talking about this a little bit, even though obviously it has nothing to do with David Blaine's sexual assault allegations. Yeah. Since we covered that article last episode and you weren't on the podcast, I'm kind of interested to hear your take, but it's I mean, like, do you think, because when Joseph and I were first talking about this, I said that I thought it was arrogance, to be honest, to think I don't think that he was trying to. Well, honestly, maybe he was trying to perpetuate this narrative of just like anti-gay, anti-black, what else? I can't remember. I think it was just those two. But trying to perpetuate this narrative. And Joseph said that he thought potentially that this guy, which I think he changed his thinking on it after we finished discussing it, but this guy potentially suffered from some kind of mental illness kind of thing, or some kind of mental ailment kind of thing. But like, yeah. What do you think? Like, what do you think was the motivation behind doing this? Because it just seems like a super fucking random move for an actor to do something like that, to orchestrate something like that.
Yeah. So with the information that we've been provided on the story so far, like, it seemed like part of the reason that he went about with this plan, assuming that he is actually part of it still, it looked like it was very much more financially motivated. Like, he was holding out for more money from his role in Empire. And if that's the case, like, I think the the whole like MAGA involvement
Mm-hmm.
and homophobic aspect of it. I
Mm-hmm.
think it was more of a trying to get as much support as much as possible move. Like it was, I don't think it was a mental health issue. I
Okay.
don't think it was
Yeah.
necessarily arrogance on his part. I think he was just trying to muster up as much support around him as possible to
To
try
put
and
that into his
into his
like basically,
contract and into
yeah.
the legitimacy of his story. Now,
Uh-huh.
again, if that's not the case, then
Mm-hmm.
it may be more arrogance. But
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of depends on what all they actually ended up finding. Because again, like
Yeah.
part of what went along with the settlement to this is that the records are now sealed, so we have no idea what transpired between the police coming out and saying that Jesse Smollett was a part of this and that these two brothers were hired by him to stage this attack, and then
Mm-hmm.
the dismissal of all charges. So I
So
think it'll be interesting if they do file a new suit against him, if they will open up those records, and if they'll be available to the public.
mhm.
Because I would like to know what happened to reach this settlement.
Yeah.
Because even
So
after
they
this
actually
settlement,
do. I don't know if you knew this, but it's actually it is not sealed currently.
oh, is it not?
Because
Okay.
yeah, because I was listening to another podcast, the No Agenda podcast, which I would recommend everybody out there. They're phenomenal at literally taking a news story. They pull from like all these different sources and deconstruct how it's being presented, and then basically try to come to the conclusion of like really what's behind the story kind of thing. But they actually had in their show notes a link to the Jussie Smollett case, and so I actually got to read through a couple pages of it just
Hmm.
because I mean hell it's a pretty long report, but anyway, I wanted to see, what really, was actually taken down in the report. And dude, they literally have as public record that these two like brothers met with Jussie Smollett. He
Hmm.
gave them money in order to procure these masks, the rope, the cleaner, whatever. And I mean, like it is public. It is on or it's publicly available. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, yeah,
And I mean, dude, it's very eye opening because the funny thing is I totally thought the same thing that you were thought because that's what everybody was saying. Case was sealed. I thought that it was really weird that they would just drop charges like that and seal the case. But apparently it is available currently, and I would 100% urge people to check it out, man, because it's just crazy, man. It really is, because I mean
yeah.
it literally outlines exactly what they are going on for litigation kind of thing, or at least the evidence kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
yeah,
believe
dude.
the federal government even said that they were going to start looking into this after
Yeah,
Chicago dismissed the case. So, like,
yeah, I
this
think you're
is
right, man.
far from over.
Oh yeah,
It'll
oh
be
yeah.
interesting to see what else is uncovered through this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
For sure, man. But taking it a little bit lighter for the last article of the episode, um, you wanna take a bite out of this one?
yeah, man. Up in Oregon, apparently there was a father that called the police to report a burglary,
Hmm.
and it was all over some Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah.
So this guy,
So actually, real quick, I actually misread the thing because it's actually over the sales of the
sales.
cookies.
Okay.
Because I thought when I first read this, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me! Like this dude's really gonna like call the police and say that a burglar broke in and stole his Girl Scout cookies. Like, come the fuck on. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So this guy, Brian Couture, 40, was at home and apparently called the police, and they found him not unresponsive, but unconscious. Correct? Because they even noted that in the article that there is a difference between the two.
So they found him unresponsive. But they
Okay.
were saying that but you're right, they were saying that there is 100% a difference between unconscious versus unresponsive. So,
But this
but I don't
guy
think, did they
claimed
actually, sorry to bust in, but did they actually say, I mean, they said that there was a difference, but they never actually said what
yeah,
the
they never
difference
mentioned
was,
what it
right?
was. So
Okay. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
no, you're good. This guy claims that he was at home and somebody broke into the house and I guess knocked him unresponsive, not unconscious, and stole what about $170 off of Girl Scout cookie sales. So his daughter is part of the Girl Scouts and had sold all these cookies, and apparently this guy was claiming that someone came in and stole all of the money. Apparently, what has
And by the
actually
way,
happened.
it's actually over $700.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did I say? 740.
You said like 170 or something,
Okay.
but no, yeah, because I was like, fuck, dude, 100, $100 worth of cookies, is that really worth doing anything over? But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
$740. Sorry. Apparently, this guy actually took the money and spent it on something else. Is what really went down.
What a POS, man.
I know.
Like his little girls like out there fucking humping it to like sell these, move these Girl Scout cookies. And I mean, shit, dude, that's a fuck ton of Samoas to move. You know what I'm saying? Aren't they like, what are they like,
$5 a box, $4 a box?
I mean, that's a fuck ton of cookies, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So he said that somebody busted in and knocked him unresponsive and took the money.
Yeah, and apparently they brought out like CSI and like dogs to this guy's house trying to find this guy. The neighbors were like up in arms and like putting sticks in their sliding glass doors so people couldn't break in. I don't know, this neighborhood, it sounded like it was like straight out of the 1950s. Like nobody locks their door or anything, and like now everyone's like got this they're on the hunt for this prowler now.
Yeah, hide your kids, hide your wives. Jeez, dude, it was just so ridiculous. But the funny thing is, not the funny thing, but the thing that I'm actually really interested in is I would love to know what he spent it on.
Yeah,
I wonder if like he gambled it away or some shit, or just like fucking, I don't even know. I don't even know, but
this dude looks like the Cookie Monster if he was an actual person. I don't know if you saw the mug shot.
No shit, dude. He really does. Literally, if he was to paint himself blue, he would be the fucking Cookie Monster. Period. Period.
Oh,
Hard stop, dude. But my God, man, I can't believe that little girls are having to guard their Girl Scout cookie sales. Yeah, I mean that's just, especially from a fucking parent. Come on, man.
I know.
Jesus. But
the Girl Scout organization is currently going through normal procedures to collect funds that are owed. So if this guy opens the door one day and there's just a troop of Girl Scout cookies out there with clubs, just know they've come to collect, man.
Yeah, seriously, dude. Ass, gas, or grass, nobody rides for free. The Girl Scouts are a hardcore bunch, man, and they will fuck you up over some Girl Scout cookie sales. So, but
that's how a brownie becomes a full-fledged scout.
Yeah, seriously, man. But it looks like it is about that time. We have rolled through, I don't know, maybe like seven articles. I hope that we have entertained you, informed you, and whatever else, man. If we're just something to distract you from the day-to-day grind, so be it. So this has been episode 43 of the Tether Radio podcast. I'm going to go ahead and do our social media handle jingle. We are inviting any and all feedback, because like no shit, it's super, super useful. I know we've been having some problems with connectivity a little bit. We're trying to work on that and get a little bit more consistent internet connections and stuff like that. Thank you for bearing with us. I know it's obnoxious as shit. Matt was actually one of the people to be like, yeah, show's pretty good, but your connection issues are kind of annoying. So, but anyway, man, reach out to us. You can hit us up at Tether Radio, TETHERRADIO @gmail.com. You can hit us up on Twitter at Tether_radio. Same thing for Instagram at Tether_radio. We're also on Zuckerberg's Facebook at Tether Radio, one word. Also, please take 5 seconds out of your day. Drop us a rating. Give us some feedback. Give us 1 star. Give us 2 stars. Give us all stars. You're the person. You hold the power. So, but yeah, thanks so much for tuning in this week, guys. And Matt, thank you. I really appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hopefully I won't drive off any of your listeners.
Nah, dude, no. Nah, man, it's always fun to have a new perspective. But anyway, my name's Daniel, and I'm bringing you Tether Radio episode 43, man. Thanks for listening, guys, and come back next week because we'll have a whole fresh loaf baked for you of delicious articles to slice through. But anyway, yeah, have a great week, guys, and we'll catch you next week.